for joining us. This is the Allon Exchange, retirement planning strategies for you with Jay and Brittany Hagee, financial advisors and the founders of Allon Planning Partners. I'm Spike Spangle. Jay and Brittany, how are you both doing this week?
Wonderful.
Doing well.
Doing
how
great.
are you?
I am great because I feel like I want to play a game today.
Oh, well.
I want to have some fun today. Can we do a little bit of financial fact or fiction, do some speed rounds, and get you guys as many questions and answers for us as possible?
That's great. I would love it.
Oh, fantastic. A lot of fun. The reason
How do we keep points, though?
who gets the points?
Yeah, he wants to know how to win.
How do I win?
Yes, if we're going to play a game, he wants to know how to win.
That's right. I wonder if I got to pit you against Brittany, or are you guys a team?
Well, we kind of do that pretty good ourselves sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
well, if we could earn points together, that's probably better. Yeah.
One of the reasons we had all thought about this program is there's so many different concepts out there, and we have a little bit of information, but it's not the complete picture, and yet people make financial decisions, and they can have such huge impacts. And today, when it comes to retirement planning, there's a lot of different tools. So let me start with number one here. Fact or fiction? A Roth 401k is the same thing as a traditional 401k. They both help you save for your retirement. Fact or fiction?
Well, that right there is how they're true. They do both save for retirement. They're both retirement saving vehicles, but how they function, how they operate is actually very different from one another. And the main distinction is the tax qualification of these accounts. So you've got a Roth 401k that is tax-free when you get to retirement and you're taking taxes out. So you're paying the taxes up front on those dollars, and then they grow tax-free over time. When you're looking at a 401k, you are getting those dollars tax deferred. So you're getting a benefit now, but you're going to have to pay taxes later when you withdraw the funds.
So is that a trick question? Is that what I heard? Like, so part of it's true, part of it's not, right? And so fact and fiction. So the fact is, yes, you can save in both of those vehicles. Fiction, they're not just alike, because like Brittany said, there is a difference when you take it out. Now, I will tell you there's other differences. One of the main differences is if you're a high wage earner, then you can still contribute to a Roth 401k or a traditional 401k, but you can't contribute outside of the 401k, right? So a Roth 401k, if you have access to that, you need to make sure you utilize that vehicle, because you can't contribute to a regular Roth IRA outside if you make too much money, right? That's number one. Number two is Roths do not count against your RMDs. So when you take them out, you don't have to worry about, or you don't have to ever take them out, I guess is the RMD way to say it, is the government at a certain age, at 73 now, tells you have to take out X amount of percentage of your traditional 401ks, IRAs every year. With a Roth, you don't have to take it out ever. You can pass those on to your heirs tax-free. So they're tax never accounts, and that's why I love them versus the traditional 401k account. Also, whenever you pull out those funds, because you don't have to pay taxes on them, they don't count against your Social Security or your Medicare tax. And so they're saving you money in tons of places in the future, but they do cost you money today because you do have to pay taxes today to put them in there.
Yeah, so really the big distinguishing factor between the two would be the tax status, right? And this is where a lot of folks get hung up. They're like, oh, I have money in a 401k, or oh, I need to contribute to a 401k, but they don't consider the tax implications of how they're actually saving and what that means for them later. So that's really what I'd like to draw attention to here, is that it comes down to the tax status of the accounts, which is exactly why we've created a very specific tool for this purpose. If you visit exchangemytaxbill.com, again, it's exchangemytaxbill.com. If you go there, you can answer just a few simple questions, maybe take no more than 30 seconds. And you input some data, and it will show you exactly what your taxable liability will be in retirement based on your accounts that you currently hold. And it's really illuminating to see how much you owe in taxes, because a lot of folks think, man, I have $1 million in my 401k or in my IRA, but not all that money is yours. So much of that will go to taxes. And so what we want to help folks do is actually plan for that, not just get to that point and realize, oh, surprise, I didn't know that was coming. No, let's plan for that and actually invoke some tax strategy and true planning when it comes to our taxes.
Can you use both of these if you're working?
Absolutely.
If they're, can you put in the same amounts, or is it the total amount that you can do in one? What should a viewer do? Should they talk to their 401k provider on Monday morning and find out, do we have a Roth 401k?
Well, first, I think they should know that from their employer, but they shouldn't ask that HR person what they should do with it, right? They need to talk to a financial professional, someone who actually understands the tax implications. A CPA would be great with your financial advisor. So a fiduciary firm like us, we would sit down and tell a client, okay, you have this amount of money that you can put into the full bucket, whether it's traditional or Roth 401k. And, you know, I think 2024, what's the amount that just came out?
So it's 30,000.
30,500
right?
Over 50, right?
If you're
because that's the
50 or
catch-up.
older,
that's right.
Yeah, that's the catch-up.
30,500.
So, I mean, think about that. A bucket of $30,000 that you can put away here. Now, should you put it all away tax-free? Should you put some of it away tax-free where you can get the tax benefit today? That really depends on your current tax status and your income. I think a lot of folks should diversify how they're putting it in there. They shouldn't just lump either one way or another for the most part. There should be some level of diversification in tax statuses.
Yeah.
So I think you should get personalized financial advice for that.
Are you both seeing more people starting to use any version of Roths? Or is it still, for the most part, when people come in, they've pretty much saved in traditional tax-deferred accounts? Are you seeing people get it?
We are seeing younger folks utilize Roths.
Yes.
A lot more than individuals who are nearing retirement. And that's where we really invoke some of this Roth conversion, Roth laddering type strategies, where you're kind of already to the point, nearing retirement or in retirement, how to create some tax-free buckets. And so we implement those strategies. It doesn't matter if you don't do it early, you can do it later. It takes a little more finagling and really scheduling them out over a period of years. So there's still a benefit there, but we're seeing naturally more younger folks.
But we're encouraging people that are over 50 that have that catch-up contribution to contribute more to their Roth bucket at this stage in the game, is because you've probably put most of your funds away in that traditional 401k option. So you're going to have a lot of tax bill that is going to be due when you take those funds out. We want to encourage you, if you're over 50 and have a catch-up contribution, we want to get more of those money into tax and never buckets, and that's why we utilize the Roth 401k.
All right, Financial Factor Fiction, more of it when we get back right after this. We want to let you know, as we continue to play Financial Factor Fiction, that you can get started on your own no-cost written financial plan. All you have to do, call that phone number right now down on the bottom of the screen, or you can scan the QR code. Let's make this an interactive show. Scan that QR code right now, click on it. You can schedule your appointment and continue to watch the program. More Financial Factor Fiction right after this.
Just a minute with Allon Planning Partners, Brad Johansson, Jay Hagee. What are the risks in retirement, Jay?
I think that's a good question, Brad. You know, there are many risks in retirement, whether it's market volatility or inflation that we've seen, or healthcare or longevity, us living longer than ever before. But the real question behind that question, I believe, is how do we avoid those risks in retirement?
Answer?
Here's the answer. You have a proper holistic plan. What does that look like? You have 5 components that you need to cover: investment management, income planning, tax planning, got to keep the money away from Uncle Sam when we can.
Heck yeah.
Estate planning, and then you have to worry about healthcare planning, because any one of these 5 dominoes can take out one of the other ones. So you want to avoid all risk, if at all possible, and make sure that you have a comprehensive plan to approach retirement.
Manage your risks with a plan. Just a minute with Allon could change everything.
We know you have money questions. Questions about your investments, about taxes, our economy, Social Security, mutual funds, ETFs, and so much more.
So we want to provide you with answers. We've created a YouTube channel, a weekly podcast, educational videos, and many resources designed just for you. At Allon Planning Partners, it's our mission to invest in you, and this is part of how we do that.
Click the link below to watch and subscribe today.
Welcome back to the Allon Exchange with financial advisors Jay and Brittany Hagee, founders of Allon Planning Partners. Today we're playing Financial Factor Fiction. I hope I learn a lot today. Look, the buzzword from the 90s was diversification. Be diversified. Comes from modern portfolio theory. Give yourself more options. It helps you diversify from the risk. One of the things I read, diversifying across these asset classes is enough to protect your wealth? Financial fact or fiction, in your opinion?
Fact and fiction, because you need diversification. There again, I think mostly fiction, because people, like you said, use that as a buzzword, and that buzzword is like, hey, if I'm diversified, I've got 5 different mutual funds that have hundreds of different stocks, and that's not true.
Because that means so many different things to different people.
That's right.
You've got to actually define what diversification actually means.
That's right, and there's so many layers of diversification. There are asset classes, which are stocks and bonds, and so that's equities of companies, treasuries, and debt of companies. You've got commodities, you've got real estate, you've got cash. There are areas that you need to diversify in that way. True, right?
Yeah.
But you don't want to come in and say, well, I've got 5 mutual funds at 3 different financial advisors, so I must be diversified. That could be a fact or a fiction, because I could show you within those mutual funds you hold probably the same stocks and bonds of each company that you got there. So you may not truly be diversified and you think you are. Secondly, we can talk about the tax status diversification. We talked about that a lot in the first segment, is that you really need to make sure you have tax now buckets, tax later buckets, and tax never buckets, right? And so you need to diversify so that you have a way to pull income later in retirement, that you can have a choice on how much taxes you pay.
But that's the fallacy I want to highlight, is that so many folks think they're diversified because maybe they have 19 different mutual funds. Oh man, look at all the variety of mutual funds I hold. What they don't understand is most of the time when we take a look and really analyze what their mutual funds are actually doing, what they don't realize is that most of the time we see what's actually in the mutual fund moving the same direction at the same time. That's not diversification. That's mirroring. They're shadowing, mirroring one another instead of kind of balancing one another out, which is diversification.
And the point of diversification is safety. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Like, so that we don't have too much risk, right? That's good. But really the goal in retirement is income. You want to make sure that you have, so why not diversify into investment vehicles that create income for you that lasts a long time? And that is a great amount of diversity, right? Because all we're trying to do is spread out risk anyway. So it's about the vehicles that
You're leading me to my next financial fact or fiction. So diversification alone isn't enough, and you have to understand what kind of diversification you're in, and diversification of even tax classes.
Right.
So there's a lot more that goes into it than just having a handful of different funds. But when it comes to building that income, fact or fiction, it doesn't matter in retirement which accounts you take from, because it's all your money. I mean, aren't you eventually going to pull it all out? Fact or fiction? Does it matter where you pull your accounts from, where you're taking the money out from?
Well, the best income plan maybe is that you do die with zero, or you die, with enough to leave a little bit to the kids or grandkids, right? You want to leave an inheritance. But it's definitely not true that you can pull from any bucket haphazardly. And that's why you have to diversify. So it's part of the fact, but you also have to make sure that you have buckets set up to understand not only the tax diversification that you're in, but the risk tolerance that you have for each bucket. Because if I've got a no risk bucket, mid-risk bucket, and a high-risk bucket, right? And the markets decide they want to go and crash in a year, I want to have enough in my no-risk bucket that I can pull income to let the markets regain posture in that high risk bucket, right? Whereas if the markets are doing really well, like they've done in the last year or two, right? We want to make sure that we're pulling some of our gains from those buckets, and the no risk bucket is continuing to fill up, right? And so that's what you really want as income buffers in retirement.
Well, and what do we see all the time, Jay? Like most of the time we see folks making mistakes when it comes to withdrawal strategies. They come in and maybe they're already retired and they're pulling from those accounts, and we're looking at it thinking, well, this doesn't make any sense why it's coming from here and coming from there. It's just because it's been more of a haphazard approach. I'll grab it and take it when I need it, rather than invoking true strategy around it.
One more follow-up on that. When they do that, which accounts do you think they're taking from? Do they take from the one that looks the biggest? Do they take from the one that is maybe the bank account that hasn't had risk? Like
really, I believe most frequently they take from the account that's easiest to access.
That's right.
They just whatever's linked to their bank account or whatever they can get
in their checking
funds
account
like that.
Whatnot.
Yeah, they just use what they can get their hands on the quickest.
Sure.
Just convenience, right? And that's our society, like convenience, microwave society. We want it now. And I understand there are moments where, okay, I've got an immediate need and I need funds now. That's what an emergency fund is for. That's what those cash accounts are for, to be able to draw from, not to haphazardly draw from retirement accounts and invoke some kind of fee because you're withdrawing before 59 and a half, or invoke some kind of tax penalty because you're pushing yourself over your to the next tax bracket when it comes to your income. Those are mistakes we see all the time. So there really needs to be a true strategy when you're withdrawing from these accounts, and not just grab and go.
Not having a strategic withdrawal strategy is one of the biggest risks we have, is that's running out of money. Because if you do not take these from the right places at the right times, then those accounts have a larger risk of depleting themselves before they should. Because maybe you grabbed from the wrong one at the wrong time, and this thing called sequence of return risk that we talk about a lot of times, it's not just about average return in an account, it's about when that account gets what returns that matters over time. So I believe a strategic withdrawal strategy in specific tax buckets, right, and specific allocation strategies is what helps folks not run out of money in retirement.
Well, and we were actually watching a documentary recently about mountain climbers and some of the feats. There was this one gentleman, he had just completed his 19th ascent of Mount Everest.
That's crazy.
Oh, wow.
19 times this man had ascended Mount, I mean, just unbelievable what some of these mountain climbers do. So it kind of got our brains thinking. We started kind of digging into it just to learn more, and we just had some questions. And we actually discovered that the most mistakes and accidents, deathly accidents, happen not on the ascent, but coming down the mountain.
Right.
And as we heard that, we immediately were like, whoa, it's the same in what we do. Like, we see so many more mistakes that cost so much money and time and energy when you are coming into retirement and down the mountain and taking these distributions from the accounts. So we want to help you prevent those so that you don't get stuck in the potholes or find yourself tripped with a broken ankle coming down the mountain. We want to prevent those moments and help you keep more money in your pocket and pay less in taxes, and have a true strategy that no matter what's going on in the economy, you have stability with your income plan.
Yeah. One of the things we can do is help the viewers understand exactly what your approach is. We have a complimentary book here that Jay and Brittany have put together. It is called The Allon Approach. When you call the phone number, we'll give you a complimentary copy of the book and schedule an appointment. Come on in. Let's make sure that your assets will last all the way down the mountain for you. And think about this. If you've never trekked all the way down the mountain, meaning created an income plan that you can't outlive for your retirement, wouldn't you want to work with somebody who literally does it every single day in their office? Call that phone number right now. Get started on your own written financial plan and get a complimentary copy of the book, The Allon Approach. More Financial Fact or Fiction right after this.
Just a minute with Allon Planning Partners, Brad Johansson, Jay Hagee. Roth conversions, good idea in retirement?
Brad, I think they're a great idea. They're actually one of the best kept secrets of tax planning, because Roth conversions essentially allow you to convert chunks of your tax deferred accounts at your discretion over to tax-free buckets, which are Roths. And so I think more people should actually use Roth conversions. Now, there are nuances that's not right for everyone, but I do believe that a lot of people could take advantage of these, and they're not.
And all of it grows tax-free?
All of it grows tax-free, and if you are like me and think taxes are going to go up in the future, this may be the time that you want to do a Roth conversion.
Roth conversions in retirement. Let it be a secret no longer. Just a minute with Allon could change everything.
You've worked hard for your money, so it just makes sense that you would like to keep as much of it as possible. At Allon Planning Partners, we can help you avoid common tax mistakes. We'll work with you to minimize your tax burden in an effort to maximize your income in retirement. We will ensure that you have a comprehensive written financial plan. Call the number you see here for your complimentary consultation.
Welcome back to the Allon Exchange with financial advisors Jay and Brittany Hagee. Today we're having a little bit of fun. We're playing financial fact or
and I'm winning.
fiction. Yes, absolutely.
I'm beating him.
Crushing it.
We're not competitive at all.
Concede,
clearly.
I guess. I don't know.
Are you, have you guys gotten onto the pickleball craze yet? Are you competitive there yet?
We'll play. We actually play with our kids.
We have a little pickleball net that we bring out in our driveway, and we'll play with the kids.
All right. Well, so since
Brittany don't want to tell you about what happens in pickleball.
He does. Yeah, I'll have to give it to him there. He kind of crazy.
Is it parents against the kids, or you guys pair up?
We do all of it.
Kids,
we'll do us against the kids, and then sometimes I'll do with my son, and
it's
Jay will do with
yeah.
All right. Financial fact or fiction. This one is so very common. We hear this all of the time. There's so many TV shows about house flipping and how it's so easy to make money. Fact or fiction, real estate is the most effective way to build and preserve wealth here in the United States. What do you guys think about real estate?
We get that a lot too. We get a lot of folks come into the office. I had a guy last week that came in and he has 44 houses. Single family homes. And he has built great wealth through real estate. It absolutely can. I will tell you the sweat equity he's had to put in is a lot more than
he would in an ETF.
That's what an ETF or a stock market is going to do, right? But I believe we were talking about this earlier, Spike, that any study that you want to look at would show the money that you put in your mortgage every month. If you would have taken that same amount of money and put into the S&P 500, so to speak, it would have blown that real estate
study
away,
after
right?
independent study. And we're not against real estate.
No,
I'm a fan
I love
of it.
real estate. We utilize real estate in our portfolios, right? We utilize real estate. I encourage folks to use that as an asset class. But I will tell you, a lot of folks come in and think it's a golden ticket. I would relate this as well to, the newest crazes like crypto. People are looking for that. How do I just get a golden ticket to get me to where I want to be the fastest possible?
Yeah, get rich quick.
I'm telling you, there's no such thing.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is I'm not against real estate. I'm actually for it. I think it's a great way to build wealth. I think that you have to pair it with other asset classes as well. It can't be a standalone thing. Just like I would say, don't just use equities alone or don't just use bonds alone, right? Don't just use real estate alone. You have to pair it and diversify so that you have plenty of room to move. So we get that a lot.
And it's not something like a, rubber stamp from one family or one couple or individual to another and say, this is how you do this, because you got to consider the personality of the family or the individual, the couple. You've got to, do you know how to handle properties? Do you know how to, are you good on your, feet, like with Mr. Fix-It type stuff?
What are you going to spend on maintenance?
Or are you willing to pay to have that service done? Have you budgeted that into what you would actually make? So there's more to consider there. But we do have a good number of clients who have become very successful, and that has been the way that they have built their wealth, and they actually enjoy it. So it's not something we knock. It's just something we want to make sure, again, back to the diversification conversation, that there's actually more to it than just that.
And I also believe building your real estate wealth becomes more tricky in an interest rate environment like we're in, right?
Yes.
The higher the interest rates are, the more you're trying to pull equity out of one house to get into another, to dump it into another, to continue on this train, the interest rates being 7%, right? Or wherever 7-8%. We need to make sure that people understand the risk they're taking too there with interest rate risk. So you just need to know what you're doing. If that's the way you've built your wealth and you've been successful, like I said, I had a guy last week. I was like, congratulations, you're where you want to be. This is awesome. And other folks have done it as well. So it can work. I just don't think it is the golden ticket people think it is.
Well, and what worked yesterday may not work tomorrow. What's happening in our economy, right? If interest rates were to continue to rise, it could totally bomb that methodology.
That's right.
So it's about being open to what used to work, or what got me here may not be what gets me moving forward.
And one more thing, if I can add on, just supply and demand. Right now, there just isn't as much supply on homes, which does keep their prices elevated right now. So for the retiree, it can also make it harder to say, oh, well, don't worry, maybe I'm going to downsize once the kids move out later. There aren't as many downsized properties out there to be looking for. It's definitely, as you said, I agree with you. So the only way, though, and the best way to build wealth, I would rather take the same 30 years in the market, that money, and watch it grow.
That's right.
Literally, every study shows that a house house over that same period of time would make 300 or 400%, which is amazing.
That's awesome.
The markets,
Yeah, it's wonderful.
1,300 to 1,400%
That's right.
over the
Totally.
same time.
Bottom line, you win either way, and you got to really delve into the individual and what their comfort levels are, what their experience is. Even with your quality of life, do you enjoy doing that? Some folks just get such joy out of managing those properties, and we've got clients who do that, and so we want to support that and also bring some balance to where
One
the holes
more,
may
if
be.
I can, if you don't mind, financial fact or fiction. Trusts are only for the ultra wealthy. I'm married, got a spouse, got kids. I've got a will. We'll be fine. Fact or fiction? Trusts are only for the really wealthy.
Big fiction. I believe that a lot of folks hear the word trust and they get the handcuffs on, like, I'm not rich, so I don't need a trust, right? Well, a trust does a lot of things, and I'm not an estate planning attorney, but I've worked with a lot of people to help them get to that position. You really want to look at a trust that it protects my non-qualified assets, your house, your cars, the primary residences or rental properties we were just talking about, especially if you have a lot of properties, you want to make sure you get that. But it actually is a way to bypass probate so that you don't have to worry about your loved ones going through this long, drug-out court process to try to figure out how to get those assets retitled in their name. So the trusts do a lot of things. It's not just for the wealthy. I mean, we have a trust personally, so it's not just for the wealthy. We want to make sure that we're protecting the people we love.
Well, and it's also documents that you use, man, in so many ways. One would be actually a tax strategy. There may be tax strategy in utilizing these types of, these types of documents, these types of, like he mentioned, the trust, all of that, as well as it's not, when you're thinking about, trust and wills and those types of things, you've got to consider some of the basic legal documents that just everybody needs to have, especially, I mean, we're coming from a financial perspective, right? So ensuring you have a financial power of attorney, a healthcare directive, a healthcare power of attorney, those types of documents, and whether you have them or not will impact your financial situation, not just for you, but also for your heirs.
And that's why
especially as a couple.
That's why we put a tool together, and that's what I wanted to get to folks, thelegacyquiz.com. If you'll just click on the QR code or go to thelegacyquiz.com, it's going to give you a few questions. It'll take 5 minutes, and it'll get some basic information about what an estate plan is and where you're at in that journey. And I believe everyone watching should take this because it's going to open your eyes to see, hey, there may be some pieces of this estate plan, like a trust, that I wasn't even aware of that I may need. And so go to thelegacyquiz.com and look at that today.
Not only do we have thelegacyquiz.com interactive, something you can do right now, but when you call the phone number when that comes up, we'll give you a complimentary copy of their book, The Allon Approach, and you can come on in and get started on your own written financial plan. The written financial plan includes all of those things, many of the things that we went through today.
Right.
Investment strategy, income planning, taxes, Social Security timing, Medicare. Did I leave anything out?
Yeah, estate planning, healthcare.
Estate planning, of course, the estate planning. So folks, take action right now. Call that phone number right now on the bottom of the screen, or you can scan the QR code with your phone and schedule your own appointment. Get started on your own free written financial plan with the team here from Allon Planning Partners. We'll be back next week.